So I have 3 high points for you today that's going to save you a lot of mistakes around how not to build a buyer list. Now, this video might be a bit long, but make sure to watch it till the end, as it has a lot of good points, and then go over it again if you need to. Now, don't you hate when this happens? You see a well-done sales letter or a slick, a pretty slick sales video. It's working, you're reading, you're watching, you're into it, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're distracted with a pop-up, whether it's an opt-in form or a chat widget. Now, why would the seller do that? They got me to a place where they're trying to close the sale, right? They're making their case, overcoming my objections, they're selling me, and then, bam, they give me the option to not buy. Maybe spending money on that service or product wasn't such a good idea anyways. I mean, think about it. You're trying to get a subscriber at the expense of a paying customer. The bottom line is, here's the issue. A confused mind will almost always say no. So when you're marketing online, when you're creating a page, make sure you have just one goal only. Whether it's on your landing pages or your squeeze pages, it's such a rookie mistake, and I see way too many doing it. Look, after nearly 2 decades now marketing and selling things online, I've made a lot of mistakes like this one, and I'm sure we all have. But I've also tripped over a couple of tricks to build a very responsive list of subscribers and as well a list of happy customers. So there's a few high points for you today that I want to share with you that will save you from a lot of mistakes. The first one is, when you're marketing, you're either creating relationships or closing a sale. So if you try to do both, you end up giving that potential customer a way out or shift their focus, somewhere else. Think of a squeeze landing page, for example. You're basically squeezing that visitor to take action only on one thing. You want them to take action on. You don't have, drop-down menus or links and tons of information. You have just enough information and a call to action. One single goal. Now, here's some advice. At the beginning, you're either getting cold traffic, and those are, people that don't know you at all, or warm or endorsed traffic. And these are people that were referred to you, for example, and this would be their first official introduction or interaction with you. Now, for these people, you need to concentrate on creating a relationship before you try to sell them anything. Now, do you ask someone for money the first time you meet them? I mean, I try not to. The fact is, asking someone to do business with you the first time has a very, very small chance of success. That's why most online conversions are around, the 1%. Instead, you get to know that person, you show them, what you're all about. All of a sudden, now you've got a connection, and now the relationship can evolve to a place of trust. And then from there, it's so much easier to start to talk business. So the first time you meet a potential customer, all you really need to do is eliminate the risk in order to create a relationship with them. So how do you do that? That's what's going to bring me to my next point here, and that's to offer them value without expectations. I'm talking about reaching as broadly as you can into your entire market and giving away content that solves the basic general problems for those prospects. Now, prove to them that you're worth buying from by solving their pressing problems for the very first time that they meet you, and only ask for an opt-in in exchange. You don't even need to bring up that you sell anything at this point. In fact, you should probably deliberately be trying to help people who may not be even potential customers at this very moment of your specific product or service at all. Now, you might be thinking that's counterintuitive, but think of it like this. Let me give you an example around real estate. There's really 3 top main reasons that people use a realtor. You're either buying, you're either selling, you're either looking to invest. So in this case, while your service might address the problem, for example, for a first-time buyer, it's still only addressing one of the 3 reasons. So which means that you're now talking to you're not talking to probably now 2/3 of the market. Now, why not address the entire market, with your content? Then once you build that relationship, then you can offer your service to a segment of those subs that are interested, and then everyone else, would be just fine at the meantime, because you just offered them some solutions for their immediate problems, and you're really sitting in black with them, and you're proven to be in no risk interaction. So now you still have room to address the other 2/3 of the market in future services and offerings directly from inside the comfort of your own list. I mean, you don't have to go out and rebuild an entire new targeted traffic. And that's why, list building is so powerful. Creating a responsive list of potential prospects and customers is key. But keep in mind, which leads me to my last point, if you were to expand the world automatically, it complicates it. There's a progression that you have to take. You have to go through certain steps and then evolve from there. Let me give you one last example. In my real estate business, when I first started, I didn't just go after buyers. I went after buyers, I went after sellers, I went after investors, builders. I wanted to prove the value of partnering with me. And they got to know that this guy Mike has some good solutions. So when I talked about a problem that they did have, I already had my foot in the door. Think back of the first time you ever met or heard of me. Chances are it wasn't because I was selling you something. And if I was, I probably had something you could get for free without any expectation of a sale. But of course, not on the same page. Have a great day, everyone. I hope you found this useful, and I'll chat with you soon.